Welcome to Find a Builder. This is Allyse Sedivy, and today we're going to be talking about how to seal the deal. This is call number 9. This is a really exciting call, actually. This is where all of your hard work pays off, and your prospect decides to build a business with you. This is what you've been waiting for, right? So let's jump back to the follow-up call that we previously did, and we split our potential builders into 2 categories: product approach or a business approach. If they're in the product approach, they had a good experience, so you invited them to either come to a class or a one-on-one. At that class, they signed up with a kit, you gave them a wellness consult, and then you scheduled this call. It's a builder prospect call. Now, you can do it in person and live if you're really comfortable with it, you feel familiar and you've practiced, or you can do it on a call so you can read through your scripts. And it works really well on a call too. You don't have to do this live, although everything's always a little bit better live, right? Then there's the business approach, where after they had a good experience with the oils, you ask them if they'd like to talk about the product or the business first. And if they say business, then you simply schedule this builder prospect call. Now, the reason why this call works so well is because you're going to go through a series of questions that really help connect you to your potential builder. In fact, a lot of times they cry on the phone with me, and we just connect. And that's what you really need. You need to connect more than you need to pitch. I promise you. By connecting with your potential builder, they've known this whole time that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. They trust you. And because of how you've led them through all of these steps, they feel like you're an expert with the business and probably the product also. And they get to the point where not only do they trust you, but they really like you and they're connected after this call. And this is where they commit to doing the business. So our goal is to connect in a very deep way to our prospect. That's our goal, which means that you're not going to be doing much of the talking. You're actually going to be doing only probably 10% of the talking at the very end of the call. You're going to be listening. Remember, on call number 7 with overcoming concerns, one of the guiding principles was to seek to understand before you're understood. And so during this call, we are going to act like they're an onion, and we're peeling the layers of the onion. And the more layers that we peel back of the onion, the more of the core that we get, and the more potent it is, right? The more powerful it is. So our first step is to simply ask discovery questions. So discovery questions are very easy for people. People feel very comfortable with them. They're simply, well, tell me about this, and how long have you done this? If you know your prospect really well, these questions are going to be a lot more intimate, right? If you don't know them really well, they could be as simple as, how long have you lived in Ohio? Or how long have you been a massage therapist? So when you first ask discovery questions, remember your questions, you're asking them in order for you to find a need that they have in their life. And even if it takes 5, 10, or 15 minutes of your 20-minute call for you to really understand them and talk with them and ask these questions, it's important. It's worth it. It's totally worth it. And I mean, it's critical for them to feel comfortable in order for you to do business together. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to give you an example of a leader named Lisa. And this leader is really powerful. She's really influential. And she's done a lot of business before. Okay. So when it was time for me to go and seal the deal, I knew a little bit about her, but I just simply asked, so Lisa, tell me about how long you've had your massage therapy business. And she told me that she's had this massage therapy business for at least 5 years. And I said, well, tell me what made you get into it. And so we talked a lot about why she's drawn to massage therapy and why that makes her feel like she's giving back to people. And it really like fills up her soul, right? And so as we talked and talked, I went to step number 2 because I felt like, okay, I understand, why she did this, what led her to this, what makes her happy, right? And I simply said, so what's the most frustrating thing about being a massage therapist? And she explained to me that she just doesn't make very much money and that she has 3 kids. She's a single mom. She doesn't make very much money. And so literally she feels like she's trading time with other people and benefiting other people and blessing other people's lives, but not being able to benefit and bless her own children's lives because she's gone so much. And I listened to her for a while, and she talked about this issue. And then I simply said to her, well, what do you see the next 5 years looking like if you continue to do the same thing? And she's like, oh gosh, I can't even imagine that. Number 1, I'm tired. Number 2, my kids will be 5 years older and I'll miss 5 years of their life. And number 3, I don't even know how we're going to survive financially. So we talked about this for a little bit, and I was only asking questions. And she was feeling more and more and more comfortable opening up to me. And I said to her, what would you like to change about your financial situation? Now, on step 2, you don't have to ask all of these questions. If only 1 or 2 of the questions are appropriate, then that's what you can do, right? So what would you like to change about your financial situation? And she told me, I would like to find something that I can do at home and that in time could be residual so that I can spend more and more time being a mom. And so I asked her, tell me, I went to step number 3. Let's go to step number 3. It's pain questions. And this is basically, what impact does all of this have? How you're living right now and the circumstances that you just told me about. What impact does that have on you or your family or your job? And so I said, you being gone all the time doing massage therapy, what impact does this have on your family? And she started to break down. She started to cry. And she said that just in the last 2 years, her oldest child has developed severe anxiety and depression. And whenever she leaves, her oldest child is like, please, Mom, don't go. Please, please, Mom, just stay here with me. And she literally almost has to rip herself off of her to go out and make money. And it just breaks her heart. And she told me that she just felt like that specifically her working has had a huge impact on her oldest daughter. So we talked about this for a little while, and we were probably, honestly, maybe 18 minutes into the call as I listened to her. And then I went to step number 4, and I asked solution benefit questions. So my favorite part of step number 4, and you'll see all the different questions underneath this audio, but the question that I always ask, it's my favorite question, and it allows people to start dreaming. And don't tweak this question at all. Just say it exactly like it said. It goes, if you could wave your magic wand and doTERRA was exactly what you wanted it to be in your life, what would that look like? And when I asked her this question, what she said to me was, I would have a really strong relationship with my kids, and my oldest daughter would be happy. She'd feel secure. She would not be stressed or have anxiety when I would leave because she would know that most of the time I'm with her. And it was it was a poignant moment, right? So if you could wave your magic wand and doTERRA was exactly what you wanted it to be in your life, what would that look like? People answer all sorts of different things. Like I've had people that have said, well, I would put my autistic son into the school that he needs to go to because that's exactly where he needs to be to just grow, but I can't afford it. Or people have told me I would start helping that orphanage that I've wanted to for years. Or they'd say I'd start traveling with my kids and I haven't been able to. Or they would say I want to bring my husband home from his full-time job because it's physically killing him. There's so many different things that people say when you ask if you could wave your magic wand and doTERRA was exactly what you wanted it to be in your life, what would it look like? Sometimes people will say, well, I don't have a magic wand. And I'm like, well, if you did have a magic wand, what would it look like, right? Because magic wands aren't real, so dream with me. If you could just wave it, what would your life look like? And some people will say, well, my house is paid off and I'm making $10,000 a month and I can decide to work when I want and how I want. So everyone's magic wand is different, but the beauty of this question is that they start dreaming again. And when I go through all of these questions, by the way, and I ask them all these questions and they're giving me answers, if I'm not right with them, if I'm on a call, I actually keep notes and I'm saying, okay, this is, this girl, this is Sue, or this is Kelly, or this is Ann, and these are all the questions that she's telling me because I'm going to refer back to them on the very next builder follow-up call. So after you ask the magic wand question and you get them to dream, and sometimes they become emotional, but this is really where they connect with you. Some of these people have never even shared this with anyone else in their life. And they share something like, I've always wanted to travel and I never have been able to. Or I've always wanted to do humanitarian work. And I'm just, worried about feeding my family. So there's no way I could feed other people. These are really powerful calls. After you get to that pain point, right? And you come up with that solution benefit, like if you could wave your wand and doTERRA was exactly what you wanted it to be in your life, what would it look like? You can also ask questions like, how valuable would it be if you, or what benefits do you see? I remember I was talking to a man, he was 20 years old, he was young, and he was going in to get his back fused. He had a terrible skiing accident, and he was literally scheduled for back surgery. And I remember asking the question as I worked through these same steps, what benefit do you see if I could show you a way to delay that surgery or possibly completely not need the surgery? And he looked at me with literally almost tears in his eyes saying, you have no idea what that would mean to my life. You have no idea. So these solution benefit questions are powerful. They really are. Okay. Step number 5 is find out how best to support them in their doTERRA business. So after they share with me their dreams, I just look at them and I basically say, I would love to support you in making that dream happen. And I have a couple of questions that I'd really like to ask you. Would you like to supplement or replace your income? And if they say supplement their income, you actually need to throw out numbers of what that means. The reason why is you want to get a really clear picture of who you're working with. If this is just a share and they just want to make a couple $100s a month, right? Or if it's a huge builder and they need to make $15,000 a month just to cover their expenses, you got to get an idea of what you're working with or what they have in mind and what they envision. So you'd say, would you like to supplement or replace your income? And 2 days ago, I had a call with a lady and I said, would you like to supplement or replace your income? And she said, replace. And so I said, and it's kind of obnoxious to say, okay, so how much do you make then to replace it? So instead, I say, what does that mean to replace your income? And then you need to throw out numbers. Now, I knew she was quite successful, So I basically said, does that mean 5,000, 7,000, 10,000 a month? And she came back with, well, to replace my income, I'd need to make almost $10,000 a month. So now I know what I'm working with, right? If she wants to replace her income and she wants to be making $10,000 a month, she needs to be a diamond or above, which is great. If somebody says, well, I want to supplement my income, and you say, well, what does that mean to supplement? Does that mean like $500 a month, $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month? Then basically they would say, well, I don't know, probably $750 a month. I want to pay a little bit more of my mortgage off every single month. Great. So that's what they mean by supplement. And so Then you go to the next question. By when would you like to reach this income goal? 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months? You actually have to throw those suggestions out. When would you like to reach this income goal? And it's interesting, on this call, this is not the time where you give any feedback. You're just asking questions and getting information. So if somebody says, well, I want to make, I don't know, $10,000 a month and I want to do it in the next 3 months, you wouldn't say, well, so would I. Wouldn't we all, right? You wouldn't say that. Or you wouldn't say something like, well, that's not even possible. You just get the information, okay? So if somebody says, I want to supplement my income and I want to make $750 a month and I would like to do it in 6 months, you just write it down and you'd be like, okay. Then you go on to the next call you go on to the next question. And that question is, how many hours per week would you be able to commit to your doTERRA business in order to reach your goal? Now notice through this entire call or this entire time that I have with them, if I'm with them live, I just assume they're doing the business. I don't ask them or say, well, if you did the business or, if it worked out, I just say, how many hours per week would you be able to commit to your doTERRA business in order to reach your goal? Now, if the builder says, well, I want to make $10,000 a month and I want to do it in 3 months and I'm willing to put in 20 hours a week, you write it down. If the builder that wants to supplement their income says, well, I want to make $750 a month and I want to do it in 6 months and I'm willing to put in 20 to 25 hours a week, you would just write it down. Now, without doing anything else, without saying anything else, without giving any kind of, sometimes people will say to me, is that realistic? And I say, well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. We'll go over realistic goals for sure. And I kind of just push it off. I wait. So your last step, and notice I didn't do anything with those things. I just got information, right? So basically, the information that you got here is so critical. You find out in their mind how much time they're willing to commit, how much they want to make, and you also find out by when they want to have this happen, how patient they'll be with this income. And this gives you a really, really good gauge to what kind of a builder they're going to be and where you'd want to place them in your organization, right? If you would want to place them frontline or second level or third level. And then, of course, after this, you still have to test them. Just because somebody says they want something or this is what they want doesn't mean that they are actually committed or capable. You still have to test them to see if they're committed and you still have to test them to see if they're capable. So you get all this information down and then you go on to step number 6. And that is you need to give them a call to action. You simply say this: I think I understand more clearly what your goals are and how I can help you in those goals. What I'd like to do is schedule another call in a few days. That will give me time to mull over what you've shared with me and to come up with a specific business plan. We will go over a 6-week strategy to help you achieve all these goals that you talked to me about so that you can put your child in that autistic school that he really needs to be in, or so that you can bring your husband home from that job that's literally killing him. Does that sound good? What time works best for you? Now, let's just stop for just a minute. No one has ever told me, no, I'm not interested in a specific business plan. In fact, most of them just think, that's exactly what I need. I don't know how to do a specific business plan. I need a plan. And one more time, this builds confidence and builds their trust. Now, don't worry. I know you're kind of stressing out right now thinking, I don't know how to put a specific business plan together. Well, that's what I'm going to show you in the follow-up. It's very simple. It's very easy. It's very duplicatable. So, remember, they just barely shared with you their dreams. And they just barely opened up with you and told you why they need these dreams to come true and what their pain points are in their life. That she doesn't have any time with her little girl. And her little girl is now getting depressed and has anxiety because she has to leave and be gone for work. And she needs to be home. And she's a single mom, right? And as she opened up and she says, well, my dream is that I'll be able to work from home and that she'll get better and that she'll feel loved and that she'll overcome this. And if you say, you know what, I understand your goals and I want to support you in them. And I'd like to help you come up with a plan. Don't you think they're at least going to want to hear what the plan is? Of course. And so they always are excited. In fact, the reason why we don't give them a plan right now is because we want them to chew on this for a couple of days. Literally, we want them to chew on it and we want them to think to themselves, oh gosh, well, if I really could put my son into that autistic program, I'd be willing to work more hours and probably be more patient because even in a year or two, I'll still want him in that school. And so what usually happens is when you set up a time, which is, and I'm going to suggest 3 days out. That's usually what I suggest, 3 days out. If it's the next day, it doesn't work as well. If it's in a week, it's too long. So about 3 days out, set up a follow-up call. We call this the builder follow-up call. And during those 3 days, they keep thinking about what they shared with you. Thinking, and getting excited. And basically, by the time they get on the call with you, most of the time, they're way more willing to work more hours, be more patient, and possibly even make less money in order to make this work. They actually get realistic themselves before you have to get super realistic with them. So it's critical that you don't do the follow-up call at the same time. That means that you can't call them on the last day of the month and hope that they sign up that night. You've got to plan this out and make sure that you're doing the right things for them. Not necessarily just for you, but for them. So you set up a time, and hopefully in just 3 days, and you get ready for that call. And I'll tell you everything you need for that builder follow-up call. Okay, now we're going to do the builder follow-up call. And this is actually where you're going to commit them to doing the business and give them a specific plan. All right. Now, what you need is, number one, you need the chart. It's on the Back to Basics workbook. And it's a chart that's called Time to Rank and Average Incomes. Basically, it's a chart that lets you know how long the average person takes to get to Elite and Premier and Silver and Gold and Diamond, and how long it takes to hold that rank, and also how many hours they work and how much money the average person makes at that rank. And the reason why you're going to use this chart is because you're going to actually help them get a little bit more realistic. So we can put together a realistic plan, because we don't want them, to continue to think that they can make $10,000 a month in 2 months only doing 5 hours of work a week, right? So that's unrealistic. And this is the call that you talk about that, not the previous call. So you start the call or live by referring to something that they said in the previous call. So for example, if I'm talking to the builder that talked about her daughter who's struggling with anxiety and depression, I would say, tell me how your daughter's feeling. Is she okay, or is she not doing well lately? And by you asking that, by you remembering what they had said on the previous call, it basically connects you again and you're back to the same feeling that you had on the first call. Or you could say, so how's your autistic son doing? I've been thinking about him. And once again, boom, you're back to the same feeling, the same connection that you had on your first call, which means that you need to write all of this information down, right? When I do these kind of calls, I'm writing how many kids they have, what their names are, what she's worried about, what she does for a living, what her husband does for a living. And so I can refer back. I just had a call just yesterday, and I was able on the phone to say, okay, how are your 5 kids doing? Because I wrote down that she had 5 kids. And I was able to say things like, okay, so in your massage therapist business, tell me what you did when, and people immediately feel like I'm not a number. She listened to what I said before and she cares. Like, we're connected. So you need to refer back to something they said. It's called dynamic listening. And when you just passively listen, you just kind of listen to what they said. But when you dynamic listen, you remember what they said and you refer to it again so that they know she is hearing me and she's listening. Okay, now step 1 in this follow-up call is and you're going to be talking a little bit more in this call. The last call, you listened a lot. In this call, you're going to be talking a little bit more. And this call goes like this. Okay, I've been thinking about you and the goals and dreams you shared with me. I'm really excited about what you've told me, and I have a question to ask you. Would you like me to be realistic with you today or tell you what you want to hear? Now, I have never, ever had anyone say, just tell me what you want me to hear. I don't want you to be realistic. They never say that. Of course, they say, no, I want you to be realistic. And by the way, when you say this, it builds even more confidence. They trust you even more because they think, okay, she's just not going to tell me what I want to hear. She's going to tell me the truth. She's going to tell me what I need to hear. And so it helps your relationship even more. And then you say this. We've watched a lot of people build this business, and we've seen many people become successful in this business. We've been able to gather averages with thousands of people building the business to see how long it takes and how much time they put into it on a weekly basis. And also how much money they make as a result. Now, I don't think I'm average, and I don't think you're average. And together, I definitely think we'll be above average, but it's good to have these averages so that we can have a good starting point. Now, let's look at your goals that you told me about the other day, and let's go over them really quickly. So you go back to what you already wrote about what they said. So the lady that said, well, I want to be earning $750 or $750 a month, and I have 6 months to do it in, and I have about 20 to 25 hours a week. Well, you look at your chart of average earnings and average time to rank, and you first go to the money portion at the very edge. And I'm going to be putting this chart at the end of this call so you can just print it off and use it, right? So a premier makes between $600 and $1,000 a month. So I would look at this new builder and I would say, okay, so $850 a month is about the rank of a premier. And it takes, on average, 3 to 6 months to become a premier. And the time that we spend to actually hit that rank is about 15 hours a week. So this seems like perfect. Like this would totally work out for you. If you have 6 months and you have 20 to 25 hours to put in, I think we could actually even, outperform what you're looking for. So it's great. So you have your basic plan. 6 months, $850, and 20 to 25 hours a week. Now let's go to the person that said, I want to be making $10,000 a month, and I want to do it in just 3 months, and I have about 20 hours a week to do it in. You would go to your your rank planner, or the average income chart, I should say, and you're going to go to $10,000 a month, okay? You're going to go over to, and go to the column that says expected income when you hit a rank when you're new, because the average monthly income for a diamond is very different than the average monthly income when you hit the rank for the first time. And so some of those averages over time, if you've been a diamond for 15 years and your team has grown and grown, it really skews those averages. So go to a new rank on your chart. So you're going to go over to $10,000 a month, and that is above diamond. So 8,500 is diamond, and 22,000 is blue diamond for a new rank. So basically, you're going to look at that builder and say, okay, so for you to make $10,000 a month, it's above diamond. And even for a diamond, it takes on average 24 months to reach that rank, and 40 to 60 hours a week to reach the rank of diamond. So this is obviously very different than the numbers that she gave you. And so you just look at them and just say, so to be realistic, one of these, if not a couple of these numbers, needs to change. Either you could increase the hours you work, or increase the length of time it would take you to get there. Probably with, diamond or above, it would need to be both. Or you could adjust how much income you want to make at the beginning. What would you be willing to adjust? And you let them answer, because you don't know, you have no idea why they're wanting they're telling you these numbers. It could be that in 6 months, she has something massive due, a huge debt comes due, and she needs to be making about $10,000 a month. You have no idea. Or it could be that the reason why she says 6 months is because her mother is moving into her house in 6 months and she won't have as much time, but maybe the money isn't as important, right? Or it could be that she just has a lot going on in her life, and she really, really can't do more than 20 hours a week. And the money and also the time to get there isn't as important as how much time that she puts in on a weekly basis. So because you don't know this, you ask them, what would you be willing to adjust? I just had this conversation just a couple days ago with the builder. And when we talked about this, she said to me, well, then I'd be willing to adjust how much I would be making at the beginning. I don't want to adjust how much time I want to put in, and I don't want to adjust how long it will take, but I'd definitely be willing to just make less. And sometimes they'll say, well, then I'll put more time in. Or sometimes they'll say, well, if it doesn't happen in 6 months, 12 months, or even 2 years is fine. I'll still be wanting $10,000 a month of residual income in 2 years. If it's really working, I'd totally be willing to be patient for 2 years. Okay, so you go over this and you adjust the numbers until you have a realistic goal. And it would sound something like this. Okay, so you want to work 35 hours a week and you want to be making $1,000. Would it be okay if the goal 6 months instead of 3? Could we make it 6 months instead of 3? Or so you want to be making $10,000 a month, and you don't want to adjust. You need that money, $10,000, but you're willing to work at least 30 or 35 hours a week, and you're willing for it to take up to 2 years because you need that in the future. So you just keep adjusting until you guys together come up with a plan that they feel good about. If someone ever says they want to put in fewer than 15 hours a week, I say to them, I have never seen anyone make significant residual income working fewer than 15 hours a week. 15 hours is really the minimum time to gain the momentum you'll need. So I think that you would agree with me, like with the business, as you look at your own business, right? That if you're doing less than 15 hours a week, you're really a sharer. You're not really a committed and capable builder. And that's okay if they want to be a sharer, then you know exactly where you're going to place them, right? you're going to place them on your third level or lower. And if you don't know about placements and where to place people, you need to go back to the daily mentor calls and listen to the call on placements, and you'll learn all about that. So it's okay if they want to be a sharer, but you just need to know this, all right? So that's what I say. I say, I've never seen anyone make significant residual income working fewer than 15 hours a week. 15 hours is really the minimum time to gain the momentum you'll need. And that's true, I haven't. Sometimes someone might struggle committing to a weekly time. And if they don't know how they're going to be spending it, sometimes people go, well, what will I do for those 20 hours or 25 hours? And in this case, you just kind of jump ahead a little bit to the basic duplication model, and you help them understand that they'll be sampling, following up, they'll be having classes, doing wellness consults, all the things that you did with them, those are the things that they're going to be doing in their business, right? So then you settle on a goal and a time frame that they feel positive about. Then you tell them that you'll both try to overshoot the goal, which makes a lot of people really, really happy. And for me, with my builders, I always try to overshoot that goal. And if I don't overshoot it, I feel like I'm doing something wrong, right? Now we go to step number 2. We're going to give them a 6-week strategy. And you simply say, now that we know what your goals are, let's put together a 6-week strategy to help you get started. This is where you're going to talk about Elite in 6 weeks. You need to know this program like the back of your hand. If you don't, go back to the daily mentor calls and listen to the Elite in 6 weeks call. It's very, very good. And this is literally the strategy that I give every single person to start with. And if they want to go faster, well, guess what? I just speed up the process, and I'm going to tell you how I do that. If they want to go really fast, I really speed up the process. But normally, you just do a regular 6 weeks to Elite strategy with this person in front of you. And it's enough. It's enough of a very specific business plan. Because when you teach somebody, okay, this is how you write out your names list. This is how you rate them. And this is exactly who we're looking for in this business. This is how you sample. This is how you follow up. This is how you invite to a class. This is how you teach a class. I promise you, they'll look at you and say, you know exactly what you're doing. And that is enough of a specific business strategy. In fact, I have had people that make very good money, very successful people that look at me and say, that is a great business plan. And it is. And it's enough. You don't have to give them more. You don't have to give them spreadsheets and sales charts, all that. You teach them how to do Elite in 6 weeks. It's simple. It's duplicatable. Everyone can do it. Now, find out how soon they want to get started in the business. So you can find out and you say, we need to choose a week that you're going to launch your business. I had a call like this just yesterday. And she's told me on the call, my kids have something major going on in February. So I actually want to do it this month. And I'm like, okay, well, we at least need 2 weeks before your launch date to prep we're going to launch your business. So we have to have 2 weeks of prep. So it has to be at the end of January. So we have enough time to prep. So you want to schedule their launch date. And this is the week where they'll be doing a lot intensity. They'll have at least 4 classes. And go back and study out 6 weeks to Elite. And then the 2 weeks before, they'll be doing a lot of sampling and a lot of following up and a lot of inviting to these classes. That's how they're going to launch their business. So you put that on your calendar, on both of your phones or whatever calendar that you use, right? And just make sure that they do have 2 weeks before their launch date, or their business launch won't be effective. They need enough time to effectively sample and follow up. Now, let's go to step number 3. This is the timeline for a typical business plan, okay? So 6 weeks to Elite. Weeks 1 and 2, you create your names list, effectively sample, and invite. Week 3, we launch your business. We have 4 classes in this week, and hopefully get 40 people, 10 people each class to come to those classes. So we have 40 people that come to the classes. Week 4, we're doing wellness consults, and we're doing calls, right? We're leading people through the process. We're also helping people set up their own classes. So we're going to be doing wellness consults, and at the wellness consult, we're going to be talking about them hosting their own classes, and then we're going to be helping them prep for their own classes that they'll be having, and we get to help teach those. So weeks 5 and 6, we'll be teaching these classes that we booked from classes, and we begin launching new builders. So it's fun. It looks like this. I have a new builder, and they get excited, and I say, okay, when do you want to launch your business? And they say, in 3 weeks from now. And I say, okay. So for the next 2 weeks, we're going to prep. We're going to launch your business in 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, we're going to have 4 classes. We're going to fill up those classes with 40 of your friends and family or people that you know. And hopefully there'll be 5s, 6s, and 7s. And during those classes, we're going to get them signed up, and some of them will want to host their own class and be interested in the business themselves. If they are, we're going to, at the wellness consult, prep them on how to do their own classes, and then we're going to go to those classes in weeks 5 and 6, and we're going to help teach those classes for them. And then in the process, you will find your own builders. So you have a builder, and by the end of the 6 weeks, they have their own builders. Isn't this beautiful? And in a 6-week period of time, this new person, this new builder is elite. That's what happens. Any way you slice it, go back and listen on the Daily Mentor calls to 6 weeks to elite, and you'll find that no matter when you start the month, no matter when, you are elite after those 6 weeks. It's awesome. This is how you should launch every single builder. That's how I relaunch. When I want to hit a new rank, I just I relaunch my business and I do another 6 weeks to elite, right? Whether your builder is building online or whether they're building person to person or whether they're doing both, it doesn't matter. It works both ways, always. 6 weeks to elite timeline above, or what I just talked about, should literally be the standard. Anything slower, if you go slower than this, it's really challenging to maintain momentum. Like if it's taken someone 6 months or 12 months to go elite, they get frustrated and they start thinking, oh, am I ever going to be able to put my son into that autistic school? It's hard for momentum. I have found that when you stick to the system and you do it the right way and you're building with the right people that are truly committed and capable, this is how it works. Now, if someone has more aggressive goals and in 6 weeks they want to be silver because in 8 or 9 months they want to be diamond, right? Then all you do is you just kind of compress down the timeline. Let me tell you how that works. So a way to speed that up is, well, let's find right away some committed and capable leaders. If they're really influential, you can do it in a few week period of time. You can get on calls with their leaders, many calls at the very beginning, and help them find leaders that want to do the Elite in 6 week program. So let's say your top leader, your leader that you're working with, is able to find 3 leaders underneath them that are committed and capable because you've been on the phone with them and you've helped him walk through this process, and all of them commit to going elite in 6 weeks. In a 6 week period of time, even if it took 2 weeks to find all these people, so maybe in a total of 8 week period of time, 2 months, all of those people that ran 6 weeks to elite, well, they're all elite, which makes your top builder what? It makes them a silver. Do you see how this could happen in a really big way? Well, let me tell you, I had someone that came to me and said, I need to go diamond in 1 month. Yeah, you heard me right, 1 month. And they said, I've been with another company. I'm making $10,000 a month. If I walk away from this company, they'll cut my check. And I have to have $10,000 a month to just pay medical bills for one of my kids. So I need to go diamond in 30 days. From the time they signed up to 30 days after that, they had to go diamond. So we spent, would that scare you a little bit if somebody said that to you? Would you be like, I don't know what what to do. Well, you just compress the timeline. So we spent 2 months finding the right builders, and we found 12 committed and capable builders. And we helped them all do Elite in 6 weeks, but we compressed it down to 4 weeks. We called it Elite in 4 weeks, right? And so she signed up September 1st. Everyone knew what they were doing. It was, by the way, a Herculean effort. I probably wouldn't ever recommend anyone doing it. It was crazy how many classes that this top leader had to have. But within 30 days, those 12 people underneath her ran the 6 week to Elite or 4 week to Elite program, and she became Diamond after 30 days. And not only that, 3 months later, a couple of her leaders underneath wanted to do the same thing, and they became Diamond. So in her 4th month, she was Diamond with several diamonds underneath her. It was unbelievable. You know, this business is not rocket science, right? You just take the same building blocks and you use them over and over and over again. So for me, I'm a triple diamond. To go presidential diamond, okay, you have to have 54 people that you show them how to do the Elite in 6 week program. 54 people. It usually takes 2 to 3 years for people to find all those people, right? But if you can show 54 people how to go Elite in 6 weeks, do you know that you make an average of $1.3 million a year? That's worth it, right? That's worth it. As a diamond, you just have to show 12 people how to go Elite in 6 weeks and then continue to build with them. And you make an average of like $16,000, $17,000 a month. It's incredible. So if you have the right building blocks and you know how to do them and you've done them yourself, and if some of you are thinking to yourself, oh boy, I want to run an Elite in 6 week program with one of my new leaders, but you've never run it yourself, you will fail. You will not know how to help them through all the teeny details because you've never done it yourself. So what you need to do is commit to doing an Elite in 6 week program yourself and relaunching your business yourself and going back and setting out that call on the daily mentor calls, 6 weeks to Elite, and get it done. Like, know how to do it and run it yourself. Once you know how to run this, then you can do it with tons of other builders. All right, well, that was long. That was the step 3, timeline for a typical business plan, okay? Step 4, tell them what you bring to the table and why you know they will be successful working with you. Everybody does things differently and everybody has different strengths. I'll tell you what my strengths are. I'm very creative and I'm very generous. And I am a really hard worker. I don't give up. So after I give somebody a specific business plan, I literally look at them and say, I am really excited to do this business with you. I am one of the most creative people that you'll ever meet. I love to solve problems. And I'm very, very determined and a hard worker. So if a problem comes up in your business, we will go around it, we will go under it, we will go over it, or we will smash through that problem in order for you to hit your goals and your dreams. I will not give up until that dream of your little boy going to that autistic school comes true. That's what I say at the very end. Now, you need to use your own strengths and your own talents. For instance, if you are a super organized person and you're a researcher and like to plan everything out, you could basically say, I am really excited about you building a business with me. And I want to tell you, I'm really organized. That's my ninja skill. I'm super organized and I'm a researcher and I plan everything out. So you won't have to worry about what the next step is. I will already have the steps laid out for you before you even get ready to step. And I will walk this business with you day by day, week by week, year by year until your goals come true. until we get that boy of yours into that autistic school. Do you understand? Let me give you one more example. Let's say you're really good with people. You're outgoing, you're loving, you're accepting, you have millions of friends, and people just really love to be around you. You could say this: I am so excited about doing this business with you. And I need to tell you that I'm super friendly. I love people. I support people. And usually people's goals are more important to me than my own goals. Because of this, I'm able to create a culture in my business, and I will do it in your business with everybody you bring to the table, that they will feel supported, loved, and never want to leave your business. That's what I do best. And this will, in time, become huge residual income for you. And I will keep working and keep loving and keep supporting until you get your little boy into that autistic school. So you tell them what you bring to the table and why you know that they'll be successful working with you, right? And then I always give them an incentive, something that I bring to the table, something that I can do. And when I was, a silver or a gold, the incentives were much smaller than now when I'm a triple diamond. I mean, I literally now can say, in 2 weeks, I'm going to fly you out to Prague where I live, and I'm going to let you go through an entire program, a training that I do. And you'll be completely ready, and you'll be back on your feet, ready to go. I mean, I can do that because guess what? I own a hotel, and I make hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, and I can afford to fly them to Prague. You can't do that. So wherever you are at your business, you give them an incentive. If it's for the first month of your business, I believe in you so much that I'm going to invest my own oils into the people that you feel strongly about when we're sampling and following up. No matter what the incentive is, they're going to be grateful because they don't know. They have no idea what's available or what the options are. They don't know. So if it's you're giving them oils, or you're going to help babysit their kids when, they have classes, or you're a massage therapist and every week you'll go to their house and give them massage, or you're going to help them with tools for the business, or you're going to help them with a flight and pay for part of a flight so they can get out to convention, or like me, you're going to fly them to Prague and have them come to a training. Wherever you are at in the business, you just give them an incentive. And then you just simply say, are you ready to get started? Are you ready to do this with me? Now, if you have gone through all the steps properly, if you have had all the contacts, if you have done it in the way that you're supposed to, and if you're working with 5, 6s, and 7s, and they're interested, they continue to be interested, almost always they say, yeah, I am. I want to do this with you. I believe that you could get me there. And sometimes they'll say, you're the only person that I would do this business with, because they have such faith in you at this point. Isn't that exciting? This happens all the time. I just had a call 2 days ago, and I went through all these steps, and I literally said, are you ready to get going? And she goes, yeah, totally. I'm ready to get going. Let's do this. And it was like, yes. So guess what? As of 2 days ago, I have a new builder, and she's really awesome. And I just want to say, if you do the work, you constantly have builders that come to you. If you do the work, and if you know the right steps, and if you practice them and get good at them, anyone can do this. This is not rocket science. It's just simply knowing what to do, when to do it, and to do the work. It's so fun. Okay, last step, step number 5. If they haven't already signed up, so if they haven't gone to a class, signed up, and have a wellness consult, which this builder 2 days ago, she hadn't done that. She was so interested in the business that we just went full force with the business. Now is when she needs to be scheduled to come to a class or a one-on-one, enroll with a kit, and have a wellness consult. They need to know those steps. They need to know those steps at the same time you're prepping them to launch their business, right? And do 6 weeks to Elite. If they have already signed up because it was a product approach and they've already gone to a class, signed up, and they've had a wellness consult, and now they're ready to get going, then you just say, okay, let's sit down and let's get you started. And guess how I get my builders started? It's so easy. I tell them to listen to the daily mentor calls. I just say, okay, this week I want you to listen to these calls, or today, listen to this call. And when I talk to them on a weekly basis, I just say, okay, how did that call go? Let's talk about it. It saves me so much time. So they're listening to the calls, they're knowing how to sample, how to follow up, how to do all of that stuff. Now, your assignment for this call, you need to practice the builder prospect call with your accountability partner 3 times. You have to practice it. And you have to practice the builder follow-up call 3 times with your accountability partner. You have to become very, very familiar with this. And you need to set up, if you haven't launched your own business with 6 weeks to elite, you need to listen to the call on the Daily Mentor calls 6 weeks to elite and launch your own business. Do it yourself before you can do it with anyone else. I've had so much fun on these calls. The next call is how you can have an unlimited supply of builders. And I can't wait to talk to you next. Bye-bye.